Alrighty, we are live. Let's wait. Let's wait to get more people.
Yeah, everybody, come on.
Let's get more people.
We got lots to talk about today.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We're gonna be playing some background music as well, just to get the whole setup. Alrighty, good morning to everyone. I believe you all can hear us clearly. If you can hear us, please put the comment section that you can hear us good. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone here today. We will be having a very important discussion. As you all know, the topic for today is why Biafra is important to the international community. So please let us know, is the volume okay? Thank you. Volume is okay, but before we start, I want us to share this broadcast. So everyone who's watching right now, I want you to put a share this broadcast right now. Share it to your family, to your friends on Facebook. Tell everybody that we are live right now and we're getting started. We're going to be having this important conversation. It is a conversation that needs to be heard all around the world. So let us go. Don't stop sharing it. Keep sharing it. All right. Why Biafra is important to Africa and the international community. You all can hear us perfectly. Awesome. Thank you all for being a part of us today. Susan, do you want us to get started, right?
Yes, I do. And Ututu Oma, all the Biafrans, we love you. We're watching out for you. And we are going to be a lioness for you today. And we've got lots to share today. And we're going to keep the education going because the Janjas need to get their chalk and their slates because we're on to them like no other's mother. So anyways, I hope you enjoy the program today. We care about Biafra. We care about Biafrans. We want people free. So good morning.
Exactly. So before we start, let's do a short prayer. Father, Lord, we thank you for today. We give you all the praise for giving us another beautiful day. As we talk about these issues bordering on Biafra and the international community, Lord God, give us more revelation. Help us to, open our eyes and show us more information that we need to talk about today. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Alrighty.
Let me add something. God, please bless the holy land of Biafra. Please give them redemption. In the name of Jesus, I pray that every single day, and I know he will, and I claim that today. So let's get started. I'm ready.
Let's get started. So, pretty much we want to just share with the international community and the world the reasons why we're talking about, Biafra and why it's important that Biafra is important to the international community.
Yeah.
And we know that through the experience of what's been going on with, the migration, the excessive migration, whether international migration or local migration, we can see how this migration is affecting a lot of people. And one of the reasons why people migrate in the first place is maybe because of lack of opportunities, lack of welfare, lack of jobs, and lack of social amenities. But Susan, over to you. What do you think?
Well, I'm glad you asked me about that because I have lots to say on that. Because I've studied and took it to my heart about the mass migration coming out of African countries. It actually led me to the people of Biafra. So, you all know my story. I got down on my knees and I prayed to God and I asked Him, after surviving something that I survived that was very difficult, I asked Him to make me do something greater than myself. And I started as a Christian pouring my heart out for other Christians. And I started noticing the mass migration out of Africa. And I wanted to know why. And I got to meet actual migrants and got to helping them. I'm actually helping one migrant that survived Libya, the Mediterranean, and in Italy. And it led me to Biafra. And now I totally understand, thanks to the help with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, educating me and inspiring me to educate myself even further. And this is definitely a spiritual thing. So I have a lot to say on the mass migration out of Africa. It's not just for people to get a job or get, out of poverty. It's actually people fleeing for their lives and being thrown from their homelands. And we have to address this. We cannot shove this under the rug no more in the international community.
All righty. Thank you so much for pouring out your thoughts. Let's go straight into one of the videos that we have today. First of all, I want to say that this video is courtesy of Vice News, and we have no copyrights to this video. We are just showing it because we feel like it's something that needs to be spoken about. Actually, this video is from France 24. My apologies, not Vice News, France 24. So let's go ahead and play this video. And let me know if you guys can hear the video.
Welcome to the Reporters Plus here on France 24.
There's an echo.
Our longer format program, we track a family of migrants as they make their way from Congo to Canada via Brazil. And they're not alone. More and more migrants from countries such as Congo, Senegal, Nigeria, and Guinea-Bissau are chancing this route. This is a film of a 5-month-long odyssey alongside a family of 4, which includes 2 children, and the route they take is frankly inconceivable. We pick up the trail in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Every step of the way, their minds are focused because if they're caught, they'll be sent back to their homeland. And they say a fate worse than death awaits.
Before the long trip begins. Rosette is 42 years old.
Live streaming can be tricky, and sometimes trying to find the right...
She fled the Democratic Republic of Congo. In the morning, she will secretly continue her journey, along with her husband and her daughters, Maria, 5 years old, and Pauline, 13 years old. Their goal is Canada, at the end of an uncertain, expensive, and at times deadly road. 20,000 kilometers await, along with 11 borders to be crossed in the hands of powerful clandestine networks of smugglers and cartels. Their only guide, messages left by other migrants on social networks.
He said this: as soon as you get to the border, there'll be taxi drivers. Those taxi drivers, we pay them 100 reals at the border with Peru. You need to be careful. They're traitors.
Rosette's husband Godet doesn't want his face to be seen. He says he got death threats for his opposition to the regime of Joseph Kabila in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Can we pause that for a second?
Yes, let's pause it right there and talk about what the essence of this is.
Okay, and this is just one example of this woman has to load her children up, knowing she's going to walk in danger, knowing that they gave their whole life savings, and to leave the only country that they know where their ancestors were, to make this horrible journey to try to get a better life, to feel safer, to prosper. And for the reason I wanted to show this today is because I want to show people how hard it is for these people to migrate. It's not like Africans in the African country just woke up one morning and said, oh, I just want to migrate and invade another country. No, they are suffering, as you can tell in the video, regimes, actual regimes, and they are not getting assistance to fight against these regimes. So if they speak out against atrocities or anything in their countries, they will get slaughtered. So I wanted to show two things with that video. Number one, how hard it is for somebody to leave their own home country you can tell how scared that woman was. She has to travel with both of her children out of the country that she was born in, all because people there want to slaughter her. So, and as you can see in the video, it didn't just mention Congo, it mentioned Nigeria included in that. So with that being said, that's why I wanted to show that clip. Exactly.
You see, that video shows you exactly what's going on. People are running away. People are running away from Africa because of what's going on in, the leadership struggle, the leadership failure, the leadership chaos. There is a lack of stability in that region. You see Guinea-Bissau, you see Mali, you see Niger. They've all been going through coup. They've been going through all types of coups. They've been going through all types of regime change. And the reason why is because of the fact that there is instability in those regions. And This is the reason why we are advocating for Biafra. Right now, we're not saying that Biafra is going to solve all Africa's problems, right?
Well, I'm saying that.
Okay, some people might believe that. But again, I don't believe that it's going to solve all of Africa's problems. I actually believe that Biafra is going to be a very good model for how an African country should live. All right. Biafra is going to be a great example for how Africa should be. And that's the reason why we're advocating for Biafra and why we're asking the international community to support Biafra.
And do you know why they will be a great example? And I say this time and time again. What works for me might not work for you, and what works for you might not work for me. But what we both deserve is freedom to decide for ourselves. So Biafrans believe in freedom. Without freedom, you are not free to prosper. You are not free to survive. You are not free to be safe.
Right.
So freedom first over everything, religion, color, everything. That's what I always say. And that's why I know Biafra will be a good model for the rest of Africa, because the African people are crying out for freedom.
Yes.
They don't want to be under rules except their own rules. And what works for the United States does not always work for the African people.
Right.
So we need to stop. The United States government and our ambassador needs to stop trying to make Nigeria as a United States. Let the citizens stuck in the contraption of Nigeria. I don't even want to call it a country because none of the African ancestors were there to call it a country. So let the people that are indigenous to that land decide for themselves how they want to live. And without freedom, you can't do that.
Yes, exactly. Save Biafra. I'm going to go ahead and play another video now. Please watch this. This is a very important video. This is courtesy of the Telegraph.
Some migrants told us once you pay, you cannot go back.
They slap you. Even you want to go to urine, sometimes they refuse.
They only put you in the boat and leave you there. It's now left to you. I passed through the same road with them, but it's really, it's a risk. It's very risky. It's very risky.
Suzanne, what do you want to say about that video?
I say how horrible.
I think I found the single biggest productivity hack of 2021.
There's some noise in the background.
Can you hear me now?
So let's say you have to read an incredibly long email from your boss that
Okay, sorry.
Sorry about that.
Sorry, everybody. I think it's horrible because not only have these people had to leave and be ousted out of their own indigenous land, but part of the problem that they have had to do this is because of Europe, because of the UK, because even, I hate to say it, special interests of the United States. Europe and all of us in the international community are part of the problem. And let me tell you why. I'll give you an example. This is where Nnamdi Kanu is right in saying that Britain, the government of Britain, Nnamdi Kanu always says, not the British people, but the government of Britain. He says they are evil, and they are. Because of the special interests that they have in African countries and have colonized and renamed, just like Nigeria, and thrown together the contraption Nigeria, they have caused a lot of uproar through time. And not only that, but they are in actual support of any tribes, even if they are jihadi tribes, that will help them get those special interests, even though it might cost people their lives, their land, their livelihood. And I got to say, Europe and Italy, they always complain about the mass migration and they don't have money to support all these people, or we don't have any housing to support these people. Well, if you would get to the root of the problem and stop thinking that you can tell another country what to do, the indigenous people in that country what to do and how to do it, and cause and aid and abet this jihad that's going on right now in West Africa and the Sahel, then you would not have this migration problem. And if Europe would support people like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who is trying to get freedom, who is trying to be free from terrorists, who is trying to make a more prosperous nation for people and to give people freedom to be who they are, then you will always have this problem. You will always, right now, terrorism is the cancer that is eating up Africa. And I'm just going to call it what it is. You know me. I don't sugarcoat nothing. So to me, all these people risking their lives, it's way better than what they face at home. And they're hoping that these free worlds will help them. Like they're crying out for help. It's a cry out for help. And
there is no sensible person in his right mind that would want to take their baby, take their wife, take their kids, put them in a boat to cross the Mediterranean Sea if they're not running away from something.
And not only that, but when you cross into Libya, you have several things coming up against you. Number one, there are jihadis that work in the Libya military and police. Okay, so if you survive that, then you got the Osma boys, which is kind of like a cult, like in Libya. They will extort people and literally torture people on video and send it to their family in Africa and say, unless you pay this money, we're going to continue to do this to your family member and you're going to watch. And then if you can survive all of that and actually get to the Mediterranean Sea, then you have to survive the Mediterranean. How these African people survived is beyond me. I would have folded like a deck of cards. And for Europe to sit here and scramble around trying to figure out, like, they don't know a thing. Oh, what are we going to do? We can't house all these Africans. We don't have the money. We're running out of money, blah, blah, blah. And fighting each other. Why don't you get to the root of the cancer that's happening in Africa? And it's colonialism that started it, and aids and abets terrorism. And you need to support the people that are speaking out against this, like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and you need to get and speak to the actual people on ground, not corrupt African governments like Nigeria, who sponsor terrorists and loot money from the people. And I want to pull up that map. Let's look. Let's look at all the special interests in Africa. Let's show that African map. We know Africa, there's no reason any African should be poor in Africa with all these resources. Sorry, you're muted. I can't hear you.
Sorry, before we pull up that map, I want to do a video. I'm going to get the map ready.
Okay.
I want to do a video.
I hope the Janjaweeds got their chalk and slates. I know I've got my notebook and my pen right here.
I'm taking
notes.
Exactly. I want us to talk about the migrants that have been stuck in Mexico. Okay.
Yes.
The African migrants. I want to talk about that while I get that
yes.
one ready.
Because they're stuck. African migrants have made a dangerous journey.
You got an echo.
Kilometers up through Latin America in the hope of reaching the US, but instead they've ended up here in Tapachula, South Mexico. The Mexican government, wary of incurring the wrath of American President Donald Trump, won't let them cross the country to get to the US border, and is only prepared to let them leave via the south back to Guatemala. So for the last 4 months, around 1,000 people have camped around the gates of the Tapachula Migrant Detention Center in limbo.
Look at the conditions here. It rains every day. We're camped amidst the water. The authorities haven't told us anything. We're being dehumanized.
This bottleneck's been caused by a change of policy in Mexico. Before they give Asian and African migrants permission to cross the country and leave by whichever border they could, including the US one. But with the pressure from the states, that's ended. And with it, the hopes of those like 17-year-old Russo, that's not his real name, who thought he was almost there. Like many, he came in through Brazil, where visa requirements are looser. Amid the lawless jungle between Colombia and Panama, he lost his father.
So we climbed the mountain. By the time we were coming down, he slept. When he slept, he hit the head in a rock. And then we went to the river. When he went to the river, it was like too late. But when they took him out, it was already too late. He's the only guy I had. He's the only parent I know.
He's frightened to show his identity. He says that as a leader, he's under watch. Though the authorities have tolerated the presence of the camp, there have been occasional brushes.
These people are very frustrated. They feel that they've been trapped here, really. And there's a lot of tension between them and the authorities. You can see right now that they're accusing the police of attacking one of the migrants.
Mexico's offering them the chance of asylum, but that process is long and uncertain. In Tapachula, the queue for applicants goes around the block. Most here anyway say that's not what they want. They feel if they can just hold out, they'll eventually get through. Given the current position of both Mexico and the US, that seems very unlikely. John Holman, Al Jazeera, Tapachula.
There you go. What do you think about all that?
Well, not only is there mass migration out of Africa into Europe, but there's also mass migration into Brazil, which is South America. And there's a dangerous track from South America up to the Mexican-US border that the African people have to go through. Lots of jungle, lots of drug cartels, lots of like all kinds of things. It's very dangerous. And all because, as you can see, that woman didn't want to leave her home. She didn't want to uproot her kids, all because there's danger at their house. And who do they look to? They look to countries like us as a beacon of hope, a beacon of freedom. And we are failing the African people in the international community. We are just making them another number, another migrant trying to cross in a dangerous situation. And these are human beings that are fighting for their lives in their own country, and it's very hard to spend all the money that you have and uproot your kids and leave your ancestral home to come on a dangerous track. And look how much hope they have and frustration. And this is affecting not just Europe, but South America, Canada, UK. It's affecting everywhere. And why are countries not coming together and addressing what is going on in Africa? And why is the UK not supporting a UK citizen, Mazzi Nnamdi Kanu, who wants to put an end to this and get rid of the cancer that is making people uproot their lives and lead to a dangerous situation?
Right.
This is why I studied mass migration out of Africa. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist. I'm not a rocket scientist. I don't have huge amounts of titles behind my name, but I've got common sense and I've got God-given sense. And my God-given sense tells me that Nnamdi Kanu, what he's standing up and trying to teach people is exactly this. We want to stay in our ancestral lands, but we can't. We have people coming up against us, terrorists. And you're basically dancing with the devil, Europe. You're coddling these terrorists. You're allowing them to run free to slaughter people. And then you wonder why you have mass migration out of Africa. And I'm asking, the Europeans always think they're so much smarter than people in America. Well, the European leaders need to wake up. If you're so smart, you should be able to see what's going on. So I hope that this gets to the French leaders, especially because they are going to be leading the European Union in this year. And if you want help with why there's mass migration into your countries and you can't control it, then you need to listen to the African people on ground that are suffering.
Yeah, totally, exactly. Who else is going to tell you what's happening, if not from the people on ground?
Exactly.
At least
from the people's mouths.
Exactly. At least now, even the international community must realize that even Europe is not too far away for Africans. Africans can get to Europe.
Yes.
They can take the boat all the way down to Europe, all the way down to America, all the way down to Canada. All right. And it's so sad that in this generation, when the colonizers came to Africa and used the same boat to ship our forefathers, the ancestors, all the way from Africa down to Europe and America involuntarily. Now we're seeing a situation where Africa has its own space. Africa has its own continent, most of which is run by Africans now, but still under neocolonialism. We're seeing a situation where now a lot of Africans are leaving Africa voluntarily, taking boats back to Europe and America. Isn't that crazy?
Yes. And how do we know that the colonialists are still colonizing? Because they keep dancing with the terrorists to get the special interest that they have in that African country. When really, if you just do it the honest way and help the good people of Africa, I'm sure you still can get access to oil or whatever you need at a fair price. You know what I mean? It's not about getting stuff for free. This is why I wish I could just put it in a way where people would get it. You know what I mean? The Europe and the UK and even people in the US, companies in the US that are getting this oil, what they don't understand is these are people's lives. And then you want to talk about the environment. Look at how the environment, even Nnamdi Kanu said, we don't want our land to be, trashed with all of this, all the byproducts from this oil drilling and all of this. Even Biafrans will tell you they don't want their land tarnished and trashed with all of this environmental stuff that's going on. And I just find it weird that our State Department, our ambassador, and Antony Blinken, the Secretary of State, or whatever you want to call him, they're sitting here talking about all this environmental stuff. Well, why aren't you siding with the people that want to keep their lands clean and take it out of the terrorist hands? And Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, at first, when he first started saying the U.S. was getting oil from Nigeria, I was like, are we? I didn't even know. That's why I had my notebook and my pen. And I went and studied it. There is American companies getting oil out of the country of Nigeria. And if these companies, I hope they know that it's at the price of several people's lives that they're doing this, and at the cost of Biafra land. And this is why Nnamdi Kanu is so vocal. And this is why he's sitting in a dungeon, because the terrorists that are leading the Nigerian government knows that the Biafran people are a roadblock for their terrorism and their looting of the land.
Second, yeah, totally. I totally agree. I want to play another video, but I tried sending that picture that you had sent to me. Unfortunately, I couldn't get it to my computer. But I want us to list out. I want you to talk about that list, Susan. I want you to discuss that list and tell us exactly why this list is very important.
Which list? Which list do you want?
The list that has the index list, the terrorism index list.
Okay.
And I want you to list out the countries.
Do you want me to? I like to be visual. Can I send it to you via email?
Yeah, if you can send it to me via email, I'll pull it up right now.
Yes.
But
I like people to see things, because
as you do that, I want to show a video about what migrants are facing as they go through a deadly Gorian trap. All right. So you guys are going to see this video right now. It's a very important topic why we need to talk about this, So this is one of the videos I want us to share. So let's play it.
Between war, persecution, climate change, and economic misfortune routinely find themselves in great peril along migrant trails. Perhaps the most perilous path anywhere through the Darien Gap, a wild, lawless stretch that straddles Colombia and Panama. Last fall, before the pandemic and with the support of the Pulitzer Center,
I want to say that this video is courtesy of PBS NewsHour. And
it could be graphic, so just be mindful.
But I want you to see, before she started, what she said was that they are running away from. I want those words to be very important. I want you to listen to those words again from the beginning.
And economic misfortune routinely find themselves.
They are running away from economic misfortune.
Migrant trails. Perhaps the most perilous path anywhere through the Darien Gap, a wild, lawless stretch that straddles Colombia and Panama. Last fall, before the pandemic and with the support of the Pulitzer Center, correspondent Nadia Drost and videographer Bruno Federico put themselves at great risk to bring us stories of people risking everything to make their ways north toward the U.S. And a warning, the images and accounts in this report may disturb some viewers.
Where South America meets Central America lies one of the world's wildest jungles. It's roadless, lawless, and almost entirely uninhabited. Its name, the Darien Gap. Underneath the soaring jungle canopy, migrants from around the world risk death crossing the jungle in a desperate bid to reach the US and Canada. They have no map and no instructions on how to make it through one of the world's most dangerous migration routes.
I would like to send a message to anyone who is thinking of doing this route. It's very dangerous. If I knew this, I wouldn't have done it.
Many migrants spend a week or even 2 on this trail before they reach a village and safety. But these journeys started long before. Migrants from Asia, the Middle East, and Africa flew into Ecuador or Brazil, where visa requirements are somewhat lax. Haitians also use this route as a springboard north. But to get from Colombia to Panama, they have to cross the Darien Gap by foot. It's the only missing 66-mile break in the Pan American Highway from the tip of Argentina up to Alaska. Migrants go first to the end of the road in Colombia, the port town of Necoclí, to head west along the Caribbean. The passenger manifest was global. Most had little idea of what lay ahead. They dock in Capurganá, a tourist town, now a trailhead for migrants headed into the Darien. We set out to join up with the migrant trail and reached a makeshift camp where smugglers wait for migrants. At dusk, a group of Cameroonians and Pakistanis arrived. They were exhausted and relieved to find the last spot on the trail where they can get hot food. Morning broke with torrential rain. The Darien is one of the wettest places on the planet. The environment could hardly be more different from the high mountains of Pakistan this group of friends call home.
The Taliban targeted our family from time to time. That is why I had to leave my country.
We packed our food for 5 days, and with guides...
I want to pause right there. So, Susan, please take over from there because I want to talk about it.
Okay.
They ran away from the Taliban.
Yes. And can everybody hear me? Let me know that you can hear me. So these migrants, if you actually sit down and speak to them, the majority of them are running away from terrorists. It's not about, oh, I just want to leave my country where I was born and raised just because I want to come to America. It's because they have no help and they have in their eyes, they have no other option for their lives than to run for their lives. And most of it is the cancer that is eating up the Sahel of Africa right now and in the contraption called Nigeria. It's called terrorism.
I wanted to bring also a similarity between the what's happening with the with the Afghanistan and what's happening with Nigeria. You see, now we have the Afghanistans are also doing migration. I don't know. Before it used to only be the Africans, people from Africa that were running an economic, problems, running from financial problems, running from political problems that were doing the migration. Now we see this particular man just said that he had to run away from the Taliban.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So they are also migrating. So the problem that happened in Afghanistan with the Taliban is also similarly with what's going on in Africa, in Nigeria, where people are running away from problems. And it's only going to get worse.
Yes. And if we don't talk about this and keep this going, the international community, to me, is falling on deaf ears. Like how can you turn a blind eye to this? It's affecting multiple countries.
Exactly. So we need to talk about this. But I'm going to go ahead and play this video again.
As we hired, follow the migrants as they set out on a day-long ascent of a mountain ahead. The steep and slippery terrain was tough for everyone, but nearly impossible with an injury. This woman from Cameroon could barely wait on her knee. Exhaustion took over.
But the pain is too much. Yeah. The pain is more than me.
Up the mountain, the smuggler the Cameroonians and Pakistanis hired demanded payment. As we hiked, young men carrying square backpacks filled with bricks of cocaine passed us. We were told to expect our heavily armed security patrolling, so we put our camera away.
I'm full.
After a steep descent, the group made it to this river. They were almost out of food. Smugglers won't venture any farther into Panama, where they could face over a decade in prison if they're caught. This one, who didn't want his face shown, wished smugglers weren't prosecuted so they could help migrants safely complete their journey.
I've had to see mothers who tell their children they can't go on, to give themselves up to God. For anyone who has a family or kids, that breaks your heart.
Another smuggler, who can't be identified, told us he came across this migrant who had been injured and spent 2 weeks on this mountainside.
He was only crawling like a child. It's common. Most people who injure themselves die because there's no help for them.
From here on, migrants are on their own. The next morning, we came across George, a Cameroonian man. Injured, he had been left behind by his group. Then, forging ahead alone, he fell and dislocated his shoulder. Our guides popped it back into place. He was one of many Cameroonians on this trail who didn't want to be fully identified, fleeing a brutal conflict in his country.
You know, when you're running for your safety, you don't care what is happening to you. You don't care what is in front of you. You just want to have a safe ground.
Just like his group of friends had, we left him behind, hobbling onwards. The trail and riverbanks were littered with signs of desperation. Before long, a large group of Haitians and Sri Lankans appeared. Jean Delicat, a father of two.
It's been 6 days that we're walking without stopping. The children cry of hunger. There's no food. There's nothing.
There was nothing else for them to do but try to go ahead. These Haitians had been living legally in Brazil or Chile. Among them were 6 children and 3 pregnant women. Dusk fell, and the Haitians made camp high above the river. It was hard to find wood dry enough to make a fire, and even harder to find food to cook. The night's catch, a few fish. Lying smugglers often tell migrants they're almost to their destination, which is why many, like Delicat, had already tossed their clothing and food.
The bread finished right now. I have nothing here. Nothing.
Your Bible?
My Bible. Yes, my Bible. And my book. Where's your go?
Dawn broke after a night of heavy rain. They've barely slept.
They are soaking wet and very hungry, but in fact, we are stuck here for now. That's because overnight the rain made the river rise dramatically.
It was too high to cross. The rivers often pull children from their parents' arms and sweep migrants to their death. Marooned, with unwelcome time to think, worries took over the Haitians, like Rosie Bantour.
Sometimes I think that if I was not this poor, I wouldn't have got into this situation.
The river level dropped, and we finally set out again. Later, we were joined by 15 Bangladeshi men with nothing but the clothes they were wearing. They had been robbed 4 times on the trail of everything. A man we're calling Saeed because he's scared to be identified explained.
A group of 5 to 7 mafias came to us. They pointed a gun towards us and took away our bags and everything. They left nothing for us. They even took away our food.
The river was dangerously high, and we cut the day short and set up camp. The next morning, 8 migrants from Haiti and Ghana, who began the crossing with the Haitians but fell behind, suddenly showed up. Among them, a woman and her boyfriend from Haiti were robbed by bandits days earlier. One grabbed the boyfriend's arm, threatening to cut it with a machete. Charlie Pierre from Haiti helped tell us what happened.
After, the thief said, "Go off and leave the woman behind." And so he's walking, but looking behind, and sees these guys lowering his wife's underwear.
One of the men assaulted her. penetrating her intimate parts with his fingers, looking for dollar bills they suspect migrants of hiding. Later, we heard many stories of this and other abuse on the trail.
After another night of heavy rain, the river is very, very high. It's going to be risky to cross it, but we simply...
Susan, over to you. I want us to talk about this for a minute before we go fully back into the video. What do you see in all of this? You know, this is a failure of leadership.
Yes.
Desperation. This is, you know, problems that are beyond imagination that have been caused from time and time immemorial. And right now, you know, Nigeria is in a crossroads. You know, it's either going to decide whether it wants to do an election or whether it wants to conduct a referendum. Because again, you know, countries like countries bordering within Nigeria are already carrying out coups because they are tired of what's going on. They're tired of the failure of leadership. They're tired of, and that's the reason, one of the reasons why I created, you know, this show, The Leadership Standard. Most people do not know, but you know, God put it in my heart that He wants to create a new type of leadership for Africa and even for the world globally, and that's going to be the standard for leadership. You know, a servant leadership. You know, leadership that worries about its people rather than worry about itself. You know, leadership that wants to give rather than, you know, forget about what it's only what's going to get. Leadership that cares and thinks about all the people that it's serving. And if you look around Africa, the kind of leadership that is, you know, predominant are leadership that only is self-servient, you know, self-thinking.
Yes.
You know, these senators that have over 20 children, over 30 children. How do you think those senators are going to take care of those children, if not with the money of taxpayers? You know, we see senators that go home with monthly budgets of 14 million naira monthly as salaries, while the people are suffering. What are they doing? They take 4 months out of the year for holidays. Most of the time, they are sleeping in the Congress or in the Senate or in the House of Reps. They're not doing anything to take care of other people. And what is the effect of that? The effect of that is migration. Look at all the small kids that have to be transported like cargo from one hand to another hand, you know, just to survive, you know, running away from a country that doesn't even care for them, that has never given them anything to survive, to make good for themselves. And that's the reason why we're having this show. That the reason why Biafra is very important is because it needs to be a beacon of light to how the African government should run itself, how people can actually develop their own state, how they can develop their own country. All Biafra is asking for is just for a space that they can call their own.
Yes.
You know,
that belonged to them before Nigeria was put together.
Exactly. You know, a space that belongs to them. A space that they can say this belongs to us, this is ours, because this has always been ours from time immemorial. Biafra used to be a kingdom. You know, it used to be called the Biafra Kingdom.
And it was free.
Exactly. It was free. People lived their life. People were able to take their kids to school. The reason why the world needs Biafra is because of this level of migration that is taking place in all these places. If there are countries in Africa that are beneficial to these Africans, they will probably go to those countries. You know, if there was a country in Africa that was like helpful to taking migrants and giving them opportunities and that can absorb these migrants that are fleeing Africa, you know, the international community must think about it. That rather than these people running from their own countries to Europe and America, why don't we create a country or a state in Africa that can be fully funded and that can absorb migrants?
And another thing, why are you putting down your own brother who wants this for you?
Right.
And I'm appealing to the Southeast governors because they are the epitome of looting. They are the epitome of not supporting MNK, who wants freedom for their children and grandchildren. How can you not want freedom for your own grandchildren and all you care about is money and getting rich and getting presidency, that the North has already gone on record saying, and the government that's in there now, the so-called government, terrorist sponsoring government, that they will never shift power. And they're being controlled by Middle Eastern terrorists who, it is in the Sharia law that once they get in high positions, they stay in high positions. They don't give up that high position.
Right.
And so much of Nigeria that's supposed to be a democracy that had 15 constitutions that did not work. And as you can see now, the Constitution is being ignored just by the fact that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is sitting in a dungeon. If you look at the so-called Nigerian 1999 Constitution, he has rights under that Constitution along with everybody that lives in that so-called sovereign free country.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, there's what, 12 to 15 states in that country that have predominantly Sharia law in a democracy.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know, and you can ask anybody that practices Sharia law if they will ever waver from Sharia law. It will
Right.
always be Sharia law or no law, whether it's free or not.
Yeah.
And this is why the international community needs to support the Biafran struggle. They need to call a spade a spade. The Biafran war was a Biafran genocide with over 5 million people slaughtered. Right. Let's start holding accountable these colonizers, these special interests, these terrorists that are destabilizing Africa, and start listening to the people in Africa on ground. I always say, people always ask me, Susan, do you think you're the savior? Blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not a savior. But, you know, I got common sense. God gave me some sense. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see where all these issues are coming from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
I feel like God has been putting it on my spirit. Maybe I should run for a political office to bring some common sense back.
It is time. It is time for you to run for political office. It is time. I'm going to share the screen now and show the picture that you wanted us to show.
Yeah.
So can you see it? Can you see it now? Is it too small?
Can you kind of expand it? Go down and hit that plus sign. Okay.
Better?
So this is from 2019. This is the African Terrorist Index. Okay. Who's at the top of the list?
Nigeria.
And you'll have to excuse me while I'm getting over COVID. Who is at the top of the list?
Nigeria.
Nigeria is at the top. And mind you, let's keep in mind of all these immigrants that were leaving these countries. One was Cameroon. You know, people are leaving Mali. You know, people are leaving Burkina Faso. You know, people are definitely leaving the Congo. People are leaving Somalia. A lot of these African migrants come from these countries. And what do they all have in common?
Terrorism.
Look at the African terrorist index. And where is ECOWAS? Where is the Western African Union? Where are they? Why are these leaders? Why are these corrupt leaders coming together and saying they want what's best for Africa, but they're not doing what's best for Africa? And they're not supporting what's best for African people. Look at Libya. Look at Niger, South Sudan, Kenya. You know, the Kenyan president, he wants to deny the aiding and abetting of the ordinarily renditioning of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to Nigeria, which is illegal internationally. And he's not even addressing his own terrorist groups there, which, by the way, have links to El Rufai, who is a governor over a state of the failed Nigeria, El Shabaab. All of these countries that you're showing right now have been affected by terrorism, and there's immigrants that are fleeing these countries. And guess what the international community is doing? We are trusting the governments. Our ambassadors are not, Catriona Lang is not telling the British government and the British people what's truly going on ground with innocent people. And if she is, she's saying, oh, the Nigerian government's helping. How are they helping? Boko Haram is charging taxes on citizens, and they're taking over cities, and they're blowing up military installations, and they're finding Boko Haram phone numbers in soldiers' phones, and on Boko Haram, when they capture Boko Haram and end up killing a Boko Haram and look in their phone, they're seeing that Boko Haram is communicating with the Nigerian police and army. So we know that the military and the police are compromised by terrorists. What better way? You see what I'm saying?
So sad, man. I see what you're saying. I hear you so well, you know. We must tell ourselves the truth. Terrorism is rising in Africa. Jihadist terrorism is rising in Africa. And we are seeing it live and direct every single day. We're seeing it. We're seeing the borders of Italy being surrounded by migrants running persecution. We're showing you today that there is a high demand for problems. I'm going to end this video with what's going on in Libya and how Nigerians narrated their struggles in Libya.
Yeah.
I want you to understand that.
And mind you, it's way worse than this video in Libya, but go ahead.
This is and this is going to be the last video we show before we round up for today. Well, thank you everybody for joining us and everyone who has been a part of it. If you've been enjoying the video so far, please post down there, say, and I'm enjoying it or love it. Put something to encourage us. We know we've been here for over 1 hour, or close to 1 hour. So please post something down there, say thank you, or that we're enjoying this video, or if you are learning something, or if you figure out something new, let us know.
And can I say something? Can I say something before we go to the video?
Yeah, sure.
Namdi Kanu has been teaching us about this for years and has had constant people buck up against him. That's why I want these visuals for you to see. If you don't want to believe his words, believe what you see. Because everything he says is backed up with evidence. Everything I put on my name on is backed up with evidence. I want you to seriously watch these videos and watch what we are watching in the international community. And we understand the Biafran people's struggle. They want to live free in their own land, away from terror. It's not about just getting Biafra from Nigeria. It's about saving their lives and their free way of living. That's why I say Biafra is my ally. Nigeria is not my ally. Nigeria has been hijacked by terrorists and terrorist sponsors. And I unapologetically say it out loud and clear. And Britain, you are not my ally. If you was a good ally, you would stand for the good people of Biafra and get rid of this nonsense of dancing. Catriona Lang lands on a plane and starts dancing with people that are harboring terrorists. Why are we taking pictures with known terrorist sponsors and know that there's terrorist sponsors in high government positions and they've been infiltrated in the military and they're forgiving Boko Haram after Boko Haram, by the thousands, supposedly repentant? But you have an innocent man sitting in a dungeon being tortured, extraordinarily rendition with no evidence. And that's Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who only wants freedom from terror for his people. It doesn't take a rocket scientist. Europe, UK, US, whoever you are in the international community, South America, Brazil, you see these immigrants coming through. Why aren't you saying anything? It's affecting every country in this world, and it's a cancer. And that's why I say I'm a stakeholder in what happens in the continent of Africa, just like the African people are stakeholders in what happens to them. Anyways, I'm sorry.
No worries. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and play that video. Thank you very much, Susan, for as always, your passionate views. Let's add this to this. This is courtesy of TVC. So please, thank you so much, TVC.
my experience life in Libya really was really bad. First and foremost, let me thank the Nigeria government, the IOM, the UN for their support, and other ministry that are still making them to deport us from the hands of those wicked, or I don't know how to put them, what to classify them with. Really, we went through hell there. Even there are some people there now which are supposed to have been deported. Some of them have spent a year plus in Guinea. Some of them have spent 8 months in different places where they lock them. Some of them have spent 4 months, 6 months, 8 months. Some of them have done their TC. Some of them have not done their TC. They are still there. Some, every self have every dying. Some of them are getting mad, mental problem like this lady here. Some of them are not well. Some are sick. Like me now, look at my eyes now. Look at what I'm passing through. It was an Arab man that used gun to hit my eyes. You see what I'm passing through. I can't ever tell. I don't just know. For those Arab people, we cannot tell. We just pray to God to save us, we Nigerians, another country from the hands of the Libyans. At least they should try their best. I've spent 2 years plus. But for me staying there now, it's close to 7 months. It was because of the sweat. On my body, I've got white. We have not taken our bath since 2 months. Just to bath, even to brush. If some people should open their body, they fix pipe inside their private part, pipe to piss. Tell some people to open their body. They should put their body for you. You will see that these people have finished us. Is it bullet wound? Is it the gunshot? Even when we are going to eat, they beat us. We are going inside, they will beat us. We are just like slave. This one is not a bit. This one is more than slave. I don't know what to classify with it. If you look all of us now, I don't keep dread. This that kind of hair. I'm a married man, 35 years. I graduated in the data state protecting Ogara Otefe. I studied business education, business admin. That's what I read. Look at all my body. Do you know what we are passed through? Go and check others. People start keeping their hairs as if maybe they are mad. Just look at me now. We need people. We need the IOM, the UN to enforce them to deport people. Those that went to lock on code in somewhere. They lost in caravan. They lost in underground. They lost takes us to different places.
People out there are suffering. They need help, more help. You know, sometimes when they call us to eat, we eat 5-5, and that 5-5 is 1 spoon. 1 spoon for 5 people. And that is for the whole day. For the whole day. So when UN discovered that they're giving us 5-5, UN now called them and begin to drag with them. So they now begin to give us 2 times. And that 2 times is 1 food every day, 1 particular food every day. So by then, we all are starting seeking, everybody, some are getting mad. So just a lot of things. We stayed there almost 2 months without taking beds. We are still toileting inside the place. They lock us up. We are toileting inside the place. No flushing, nothing.
They are shooting us, they are flogging us. Like, if you want to eat, they will flog us. You want to go to the toilet, they'll flog us. Anything you want to do, they'll flog us. The food they call themselves soldiers, but in fact, they are Buffalo soldiers. They are asthma boys, criminals.
Asthma boys, did you hear that?
All of them are wearing uniform. We don't know the real ones. We don't know all of them. They are wicked people. They don't have soldiers. They don't have police. All of them, they are just criminals. Wearing on top of uniform, maltreating our people. Please, I want to beg the Nigeria government. Let them go and bring our people back. If it's cargo plane, we are even looking for cargo. Even the day we rioted, we asked them to bring cargo plane. We will not complain. Let them pack us. Because we are even some are in the prison now, we are seeing they haven't even got into the deportation camp. They're in the prison. Even our Nigeria ambassador, the man that will normally come and register us, that man normally come once in a while. Before we saw that man, we stayed in the deportation camp for like 2 months. We didn't see the presence of that man. We don't know why.
Like me now, as a woman now, since 2 months now when they arrest me, now only 5 days I don't bath. Only 5 days, because if you too bath, now because of this jacket, I for remove and because I be woman. If you too bath, your body go they scratch you. Your body go dey scratch as you dey scratch and go dey pee. Because na salt water now we take the bath. Food we not do. People when they there now maybe by this time now they never chop night food. Though. That night food now since around 1 though. Till this time. If they want to share another, they'll tell you say, "Gami slaughter, 5 zip." If you not see that, if you see pipe, bros, no pipe there here, no big. They'll use both woman, both man. If we get one boy and I see for there today when they be here, they will shoot for hand about 5 days ago. Why? That they use gun till they tell people make they sit down, and so they release the bullets. The entire body. Many people they die for there, but I thank God say we don't come back. I thank God say we don't come back. Oh. People went to say Libya, Italy no use you when they carry me on top water. 4 days now they lock me for inside house, no food, no water. I nearly die. Now God when me heaven and earth now save me. People where they hear my voice, or that they see me for television, or that they hear for radio. If you get 1 naira for Nigeria, you get junior one, you say you no get papa, you no get mama, that make you come out. I beg go they do farm work. You better pass person when enter road. If you can't touch the one they see for desert, you feel stay inside motor now, you they see spirit. People when they die for desert, now spirit, now they kill many pass. Not be any other thing. You see that prison, not be where person they go bros.
We have been suffering there for many years, for many months. The bus are come November 11th, October 11th. Since that time, we have been eating one food, macaroni. Please help me with this. I mean, I think you can see this onza. In Libya, they call this onza bread. Understand? This bread, at times, if the Arab want to suffer us, then we cut it into two. Then we share it for each person. This half onza is the food we eat from morning till night, even till tomorrow morning. Since October 11th, we have been eating macaroni, no even rice. Nothing like rice. We have been eating macaroni. They treat us like animals.
There is another place called Grayan. We have over 1,000 Nigerians in that place since last year in deportation, and they are still there until this year. Nobody care about them. What these people do is this: the police made the UN believe that they are doing their work, and they don't do it. Now, every military man, every uniform man in Libya is building a prison, private prison. That's what they're doing now. Now they come to the prison and they tell our people that we need banamish. We want to do what they call banamish. The banamish is pick you up and free you go to the town. When you go to the town, they go to another prison and lock you up. It is a present business they are doing now. And these people are
when they lock you up, what do?
They go back to UN and tell them they are running a deportation camp, and UN start giving them money. That's the business they are doing now. Thousands of Nigerians are transferring from prison to prison since, and they don't deport them. And they tell you that they want to deport them. When they catch Nigerians on top of sea, it's telling them they don't want them to go to it. They bring them back and they put them in prison and they force them, beat them, torture them, control money from your country. If you should go to a different home, you see there are so many Nigerians that be calling their country, controlling money in this country, and they send it to Libya. They free themselves from those people. They are not officially uniform men. They just wear uniform. They call them asthma boys because there is no government in that place. And they run the prisons and not everything. I have been with immigration.
Can you pause that? They've named it 2 times. They're called Asma boys in Libya. And let me tell you, when I studied the migration out of Africa through Libya, I watched videos that will haunt me for the rest of my life. The way they torture the African people and slaughter them on video if their family cannot send the Asma boys money is horrendous. And why? None of this has to happen if the international community would stop trusting these corrupt African governments, number one, and stop thinking that we know how to operate Africa. Let the African people fight for themselves. Let them build a life that they want for themselves. This is why I support Nnamdi Kanu. These corrupt governments and terrorist sponsoring governments actually take weapons away from the good people and put the weapons in the hand of the terrorists. And they try to infiltrate the military and police. And this is what we're seeing.
It is so sad. It is so sad, man. Just looking at it right now, And these are Nigerians, they've gone through the worst of the worst. And if you listen to what he said, you will also see the failure of leadership. Despite the fact that they are happy to be back, one of the other guys said that it was only once in 2 months that they saw the representative from Nigeria come to pay them a visit. Once in 2 months, right? I know there is a lot of cases. I know there's a lot of issues, but again, they are happy to be back. But most of them spent months and months and months before they were able to process their deportation visas back to Nigeria. And
But some people suffer the same thing in Nigeria, maybe not as bad as in Libya, but it's the same thing. You wouldn't even have, you wouldn't even have people traveling to Libya or trying to get to Europe if people on ground were listened to by our ambassadors and our country.
And I want to also sound a note of warning to folks that are also looking at this video now and thinking that, illegal migration is the best thing. Don't do it. Don't do it. It is better to be a slave in your own country, than to go and become a slave in another man's country where you are not even sure how you're going to live your life. You know what I'm saying? So it is not, you can see what's going on. These people are suffering. I'm happy that Nigeria brought them back. I'm going to try to finish this video so that we can round up. But it's so sad that these guys have to go through what they are going through. And it's so sad that...
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
This is why you should treasure people like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. He is bringing light to what is going on. This is why he says people cannot reason. Because you're not opening your eyes around you. You're not seeing the whole picture. And this is why I'm bringing this visual to you. God put this on my heart to bring this visual to you. People are suffering. Europe, the European Union, France, I always call you out because you're going to lead the European Union. If you do not want migrants and in your country to the level that you cannot help them and find a place for them or come up with money, and you all want to complain about the migrants and this and that, then do something to help them in their own land. At least give them weapons. Call out terrorist sponsoring governments. Call out corrupt governments. Stop doing business with corrupt governments. I do not want the U.S. as a U.S. citizen to buy oil from a terrorist sponsoring government in Nigeria. I don't. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And this is why I need to open people's eyes. And this is why I'm so passionate. And this is what led me to the fight in Biafra. And it's a spiritual fight. Sorry, I'm getting very passionate right now.
And it's okay, I think when I'm not going to play the video. I feel like the point has been made. People understand what we are trying to say. People understand what we're trying to portray. So I'm not going to play that video. I'm not going to play any other video. I'm just going to allow us to say whatever we need to say before we round up. I totally believe strongly that Biafra is going to be a beacon of light and hope for a lot of African nations. And the reason why I say that is because of the people who make up Biafra. They are very strong. They are very resilient. They are very, focused. They're very determined to get what they want. All they're asking for is just opportunities to control the resources that come from their land and, be able to turn like a country. Just look at the way Dubai has changed its own landscape and made its own self become really good in the Arab nations. Look at Israel. Look at all those nations that are springing forth out of like places you wouldn't expect, and they are creating world-class development. That is exactly the kind of development that we are expecting from Biafra. And that is the reason why we're saying that we want Biafra to be recognized by the international community as a nation for itself, because they have the potential to run an effective leadership, an effective government, create a social economic policy that will benefit every person and not just a selected few. And that is our prayer for Biafra. Our prayer for Biafra is a nation that's going to, be a beacon of hope, a beacon of light in Africa. We need something like that in Africa because we have people running from Nigeria. Look at those young people. Most of them are in their 30s. Most of them are in their 20s, that are running. And these are the potential of Africa. They are running, trying to flee corruption, trying to flee, poverty, trying to flee killings and terrorism. And these things are just going to keep on the rise. ISIS is there, Boko Haram is there, ISWAP is there. All these people are the underworld, and they're fighting the light. They're fighting what is good. They're fighting what is inside of you. They're fighting what is inside of me. They don't want us to speak up. They don't want us to fight for these people. They want us to shut up and just be quiet. But we say no. We say no to that. And that's the reason why we're asking for Biafra. That's the reason why we're demanding for Biafra, because we believe that Biafrans will be able to stand and face whatever evil of terrorism that will want to push itself into Biafra land. We know that in the north, they have accepted terrorism as a way of life. They've seen it as a modus operandi. They've seen it as just a normal thing. But in Biafra land, in PPB, Igbos have said no terrorism. We say no to terrorism. We say no to corruption. We say no to nepotism. We want what is good for us to be for us.
Yes.
So, Susan, any final words before we round up?
I just want to say that the continent of Africa belongs to the Africans. And I think instead of the international community pushing what we think and how we think they should be, and instead of believing and trusting corrupt terrorist sponsoring governments with help, we should be, our ambassadors and the European Union and the UK should be on ground listening to the people suffering and going by what the people are experiencing and listen to them. They are not just the Black people in Africa. They are not just another immigrant fleeing. They are a human being. And I've always said it. This message is for Africans from me. I don't care what color I am. I don't care what color you are. What I care about is humanity. And in order to live prosperous, what's good for you, you have to be free. And I always say freedom first. What works for me may not work for you. What works for you may not work for me. But what we both deserve is a free chance, a freedom. And that's why I'm fighting for people's freedom. I don't push my color. I don't push my religion. I don't push my country, because I put humanity above everything. I believe in God Almighty. I believe in God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Elohim. And he says, he created us all, and he says we all have free will to live a prosperous life. And all of this is why I studied Islam. This is why I studied the migration. And this is the cancer that I see that is controlling the prosperous nation of Africa. And you be the judge. You are the African people. And African leaders, I got a message for you. Stop your crap. Stop it. And I also want to say free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu now. I believe in his spirit and I believe in his ideology to free his people from all of this that we discussed today.
Yes. Free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And that's all we have for you all today. We want to say a big thank you for everyone who has joined us and people who have left comments. We want to thank you all. For those who are just watching, you can always go back, rewind it, start from the beginning, and catch up from what we said. Please, Susan Mount, please follow her on all our broadcasts. Follow her on Twitter, follow her on Facebook, as well as the Leadership Standard. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, as well as YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Leadership Standard. We thank everyone for being a part of us today. We ask that Elohim bless each and every one of us. Thank you all for your prayers. And thank you, everyone who commented. We see all your comments, and we appreciate you for being a part of us. God bless you. Have a wonderful week, a prosperous week. And Susan.
And thank you for standing up for strong leadership.
Thank you so much. And that's our prayer. We're going to be doing more of this. I'm going to be having more of Susan. I know that we all need a Susan in our lives, and we need Susan to push us and encourage us and to motivate us. So expect more videos from us in the future.
And I need you all too.
From here, from you, from me, God bless you. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye now.
Bye.